Hey, what's going on? YouTube's dubkdadone. I want to talk to you about Phantom Knights and the problems I had playtesting the deck. Um, the deck appears to be very linear, much like Heretics. Um, but unlike when Heretics was released, there weren't a super powerful archetype that had really big monsters with really good effects that couldn't be targeted. So you lose a lot of utility with Break Sword. Um, of course, you can always run over Dark Destroyer, and you can run over um, their other big ship, Slip Rider. I think it's Slip Rider or whatever it is, the 2800 guy and the other 3000 attack guy. But that requires you to have ragged gloves, and that's not always possible, especially in your opening hand when they do their tin. If they go first, and they do their tin can shenanigans. You're looking to put a monster on the board, and then they call the hunt it and they pop your shit. I mean, then what do you do? Or tin can tags out, and then the ship beams in and blows you up, and you can't target it. And even if you run it over, they just bring in a pilot, and the whole mess starts again and again and again. And then the deck generally doesn't run any real back row of its own, so you're entirely at the mercy of the cards you draw. You're at the mercy of your opponent not knowing what's going on, and in my opinion, that's not a reliable strategy. Um, so look, going forward with the deck, I think that while traps are kind of not that great at the moment with Twin Twister in the meta, you can more or less disguise your real traps by running them alongside your theme traps. The ones that get utility in a grave. And so in that case, you can get your opponent to maybe burn a Twin Twister onto your two of your theme traps, and then on another turn, set your real traps, and then work that way. The problem with doing that is Phantom Knights, again, is a linear deck, and it's not really good at incremental pushes. You can't just clear the board and make a small push, and then your monsters are good enough to defend themselves, and your opponent has to go through all this crazy stuff to get through it. It just doesn't. It's an aggro deck that has very little defense. A few battle phase tricks, one shot negation, and that's just not enough. And so again, that's where the real traps come in. The other thing is try to move away from the pure rank 3 engine. Again, in the playtesting that I had, I can do all the really cool go into break sword, blow up shit, then go into the big dragon dude, shrink dude's attack, punch for a lot of damage. That's all well and good, but going against, again, Cosmo, going against Burning Abyss, that shit just ain't cutting it. Because first of all, Rebellion can't target any of the big ships. Breaksword can't target any of the big ships. And then against Burning Abyss, you have to have Breaksword to get through Dante. And you have to, even if you kill Dante, if it has something like Scarm, or not Scarm, but if it has like Farfa attached to it, or Graph, or Seer, you're just going through floater after floater after floater. And this is all assuming you made it through all the ridiculous back row and floodgates that damn deck plays. So in my previous versions, or my initial version, I tried to do it the standard way. Then I got cute, and I added Mass Change the second because Dark Law seemed to help a lot of the problems I was having. You can Mass Change the second on your guys, pitching a trap, and then the trap can revive the guy. And then you can do other shenanigans that way. That was really cool. But once they clear the Dark Law, you're back at square one. Again, the deck doesn't have sustainability. It's all about a series of big pushes, one or two big pushes, and then you're out of resources. There's no reset button, and that's just not good. So I resigned myself to think of the deck more as the 9 monsters, the 9 level 3s, and running 3 of the traps, the Phantom Sword, the Fog Blade, the Sword, and the Wing. Any number of those. More like 3 of the Fog Blade, because that's your negation, and then 2 each of the Sword and the Wing. And that way you have 3 different named traps, and you can get potentially 3 special summons a turn with 3 different named traps. And so if you run that rather large, I'm going 9 monsters, 7 traps. So it's a 15 card engine. And then the other 25 cards, just generic spells and traps, or generic spells, Upstart, Twin Twister. And then right now I'm currently testing a small plant engine with Debris Dragon, Dandelion, and Glow Bulb. And then I also have Jet Synchron. You can pitch the traps, and then you can banish traps, and in that way you can Black Rose your opponent's field without even committing to your normal summon. Other things I'm running in the deck, Card Trooper that facilitates filling your grave with the Phantom Knight cards. It's just as easy as summoning Debris Dragon, reviving Card Trooper, getting a quick mill, nuking a board, and then you can put a lot of damage on the field after a board wipe, and that feels pretty good. Well, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section about how you're going to approach the deck. I still think the deck has potential. I just don't think in the meta that we have in the TCG, the way the deck is set up can be viable as it is. It's kind of like Quackimiru, how you can't build a Quackimiru deck. You have to use a portion of the cards as an engine to another deck. It's dubkdadone, and I'm out.